Morning. I have to go ahead and say it. I apologize about my hair. I mentioned on my video on Monday that I am dealing with a little bit of a back injury. So I haven't exactly been, even to brush my hair, it is painful. So I'm in a lot of pain still. So I figured I'd give you that disclaimer, you know. Good morning. I love this topic today because I actually had a conversation with a good friend of mine the other day about it. Not last night, Tuesday night. So it's something that I've been really thinking about, meditating on, and trying to figure out if it serves me or if it doesn't serve me. So I think this conversation is something that needs to be had, so I'm excited about it. I'll give it a couple more seconds. What do you guys think? Do you think I should be warning people before I go live? I think I should. Or on my Facebook cover wall, I should put going live every day in the 9 o'clock hour Eastern, Monday through Friday, basically. Thinking of doing that. So we'll see. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Like I said, I'm always going to introduce myself. If you are new to me, my name is Justine Lezzi. I read off of my little index card. My Post-it. So that's why I look up when I say this. What do I actually do? Who am I? I guess this falls into the labels thing, right? So I actually help people get spiritually connected, empower their intuition, and help them create a life of emotional freedom. I identify myself as a spiritual teacher, spiritual life coach. I'm also a crystal healer, and I do read angel cards. So if any of that stuff is an interest to you, let me know. Every live, I throw my scheduler in there, so you can schedule time with me to kind of talk about what your needs are. I'm also an intuitive empath, and if you want to know more about empaths and highly sensitive people, please message me. That is also something that I specialize in. I do HSP empath mentorship, and like I said, I do different intuitive healing modalities, meaning crystal healing and angel cards. So if you are interested in any of that or want to know more, just message me. I love talking about this stuff, so I can talk about it all day. So, okay, labels. Where are we at with this? All right. So I was talking, like I said previously, I was talking to a friend the other night, and I was talking about somebody I broke up with, and I was really just trying to figure out what caused a lot of our issues in our relationship, and I'm the first person to say if there's an issue in the relationship, it's all relationships are a mirror. They mirror back to you things that you like and things that you don't like, right? Because at the end of the day, love is seeing yourself in another person. So that's the actual, if you love somebody, there's some connector there that you both have in common. Like there is a common ground there. So I do understand that, and I am usually the one to, not take responsibility for everything that happened in the relationship, but I know how to be self-aware and look at my part, right? And then sometimes, I give labels a lot of the times. I was in a relationship about 4 years ago. I didn't know what happened to me, and then I realized that I was with somebody that had narcissistic personality disorder. So I'm actually labeling them as a narcissist, even though they have actually never been diagnosed, right? So my friend brought up the other day was, Justine, I know you're a life coach, but you're also not a therapist. You're also not completely trained to do this, and you're just kind of putting labels on everybody all of the time. And I honestly, it's a good point, right? He brings up a really good point. But what I countered with was that I create labels, and I'm very attached to labels, maybe in an unhealthy way, but we'll talk about that a little later. But I attach to labels because I try to understand what's happening to me. I'm a very self-aware person, right? I'm very conscious. I want to understand things because in reality, the more you understand something, the more you forgive. I'm going to repeat that. The more you understand something, the more you forgive. Because when there's understanding, there's room for love, right? If we can understand why the person hurt us, we can love them and forgive them for it. Does that make sense? So it's really just a mental process, and it's an emotional process, to label them to help figure out what the disconnect was and where the role for forgiveness is. Like, where can forgiveness fit in, right? So that's why I do it, and that's why I actually think labels are a good thing, right? There are times when it's a bad thing, and I will get into that a little later. But I have to tell you, 4 years ago when I was going through my spiritual awakening, labels were the thing that saved me, right? I just need to take a sip of coffee. Hold on. I'm like super animated this morning. Anyway, let me like stretch out my back since I have back issues right now. My friend is an acupuncturist, and he so graciously volunteered for me to come over to the offices tomorrow and get some acupuncture done, which is amazing, so I might take him up on it. But anyway, I digress. When I was going through my spiritual awakening about 4 years ago, and if you've been through a spiritual awakening, you will understand what I mean. Labels really help me out in the self-actualization process, which is the process of really figuring out who you are. Like, I was an empath, and I had no idea. Like, so I would go from life to life to life, just absorbing other people's lives, right? Like that's what I would just do. I would just take on everybody else's shit. I would take on other people's lives. I never knew who I was, as a person, my higher self, right? And that's the other thing too. Higher self was another label, right? So you have me, Justine Luzzy, who likes guinea pigs, who loves living in the city. That's Justine, right? But that's not my soul. You know what I mean? So my soul, my soul is my higher self. So my higher self, that's a label, right? And that's what I do too when I coach people. We try to figure out what your higher self is, not who you are on the surface. There's a surface you, and then people are like onions, right? There's a surface you and there's a higher self. So there's somebody deep down underneath, spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it, but that's the label, right? There's the label there. So then there was when I found out that I was an empath, oh my God, the clouds parted. I was an empath, I was a highly sensitive person, and I never really knew it until that label came into my life. And once it did, I could understand how to manage myself. I can understand why I did the things that I've done in my entire life, why I took everything so seriously all the time, why I felt so deeply. All of this finally had a label to it, and it was very beautiful. That's the only word I can use to describe it, because when you spend your whole life wondering what the hell is wrong with you, and then you find something that's labeled and you fit into that label, I can't even tell you the bliss that you experience when something like that happens to you. And maybe it has happened to you. I don't know. Maybe you can relate. But in that way, in the self-actualization way, it's a great thing. Now, say for example, so where I want to go with this. Okay, so that is one really, really great thing that has helped me, right? I think where labels can kind of go wrong, even though I don't believe in right and wrong, so I'll rephrase that, where labels can go sour is where, I do see it a lot in the LGBTQ community. If you have to label who you're attracted to and you believe love is love, a lot of people say, why do we have to have labels, right? So and I can actually kind of agree with that, right? I can agree. So I think in something like that aspect that it is not necessary. And something that I have been struggling with too, is, and I'm going to go there, and, politically, right? So I grew up my entire life as a Democrat, right? That was my label, right? I was a Democrat. I associate more with being liberal. That is a label that fits me a little bit better, because I'm actually hesitant to to identify and label myself as a Democrat. And that's because I've been having second thoughts about the government in general in the last 4 years since my spiritual awakening. I don't think they have our best interests at heart. It's hard for me to trust them. So being a Democrat and using that label doesn't feel the greatest to me, right? So on Tuesday was election day, and, you know, obviously I went to vote because I can't complain if I don't vote, and, you know, I can't have a problem with it if I don't exercise my right to vote. So I did, and of course I did Democrat all the way down. So it can get a little confusing. You know, some days I wake up and I say I'm the most liberal person in the world, and then other days I wake up and I say, you know, I'm an anarchist, you know? Like, I don't even think I believe in government. I just don't know. It's been something that I've been struggling with, and I can't even believe I'm even talking about that, but it's actually something that I have been struggling with, so we'll see. So when it comes to, like, labels, sometimes it's good, sometimes it works in a positive way, and sometimes it works in a negative way. It really just depends on where you're coming from and what works for you. And everybody knows that I'm a super intuitive person, and different things work for different people, and you just have to stick to your guns, figure out what it really is that resonates with you, and that's that. So really the answer is, yes, I'm a big fan of labels, but whatever works for you, I'm totally down with. And I think that's probably the best answer that I can give. So hopefully that helps. I feel like this is a conversation that people can chime in. So, like, chime in if you want. Even after this live and people watching the replay, I'd love to hear what you think about labels. If they work for you, if they don't work for you, in certain aspects of your life, like myself, they work for you, don't work for you. Let me know. I'm actually really curious about it. Yeah, I'm always curious about other people's opinions, so. Okay, cool. I'm actually going to hop off now. I got a busy day, still going to rest this back. I've been bedridden for this whole week. It's really unfortunate, but hopefully it'll work out. It's getting, like, slightly better, so that's, like, a good thing. So, thank you for joining. I will be on tomorrow. I'm actually going to try telling people that I'm going live in the 9 o'clock hour. So, like, maybe it'll give people, like, enough time. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because a lot of people do catch my replays, but they're not on live. And then I'm thinking about the time, right? So it's, like, 9 o'clock Eastern. So I know people are, like, right in work, but I'm, like, trying to catch them when they're on the train. So, or, like, commuting. Sorry, I'm on the East Coast, New York City, New Jersey area. So, and I do cater to everybody, right? So, I'm just, like, thinking about people commuting. That's what it is. But maybe I need to reevaluate that, so we'll see. But, okay, cool. All right, thanks for joining. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye.